here we are for my greatest lawnmower race I've ever had. So let me show you this. 5 lights on, 5 lights off. There we are. Not a great start from me. I couldn't manage to cover the inside here. So I'll greet us on this grey mower, sends it up the inside. Bit of a strong move, a bit of body contact, but that's kind of how it goes here in grassroots motorsport, and lawnmower racing is no exception. So here we are. We're at Alford, and this is a really nice twisty track, really close racing we had here. So here is our greeters, number 5 ahead, and here's who my race is with. Basically the front two was super quick, they ran away, and you can see all the fans, they're absolutely loving it, going wild for the Group 3 lawnmower racing. So this was my battle, and this was a 20-minute championship race, so it's longer, and it is a race of endurance as well as an out-and-out sprint. So you can see here that it's super bumpy, super twisty, and I'm figuring out our greeters here. He's in third, I'm in fourth. I was trying a few different lines. I go around the outside here, and you can see he catches this big bump, and I go wide there. Now that is one of those things that you learn in lawnmower racing, is that the bumps really matter. There you go. If you take a slightly wrong line, you can see our greeters was fine there, and I went off, and that really played a part in this race, that very bump, and you'll see that on this lap. So here we are. Our greeters makes a mistake, goes wide, and I send it down the inside. I seize my opportunity, and I'm thinking I'm going to go around the outside of this long right-hander. I step on the gas, manage to pull ahead before the apex, and you can see here our greeters comes across and actually pushes both of us off the track. Now on the lawnmower, I was not very happy about this one, but look at this. You can see he gets air, essentially loses his steering, and runs wide and pushes me wide. Now I wasn't particularly happy. That did give me some motivation here to try and get past, and I knew that if there was going to be a move, it was going to have to be a strong one. So here you can see anytime he goes inside, I'm trying outside. If he's going outside, I'm trying inside. I'm just going to go whatever line I can to try and get round, try and find a good run. And you can see here I got a good run out of that final corner, but our greeters manages to pull ahead. He's got a bit more traction. I have a look down the inside, but he covers it off. That would have been a really bold move there. I managed to clip a barrier just back there, but I'm pushing as hard as I can to try and find any way round. And on these narrow tracks, this can be really hard. It can take a few laps to set up a move here. So our greeters makes a slight mistake, but then manages to pull away from me. Now this is one thing I found, and that I'm going to have to change on my lawnmower to develop it. This is one of you have to develop these things. Is that everyone else is running tooth belts, and I'm running a V belt, meaning I get slightly more slip. So out of the corners, I haven't quite got the pull that they've got, even though my gearing was so that I was doing well at the end of the straights here. You can see I get a good run out. Our greeters pulls ahead of me, and then I start to pull it back. There you go. At the end of the straight, I start to come back in. So I'm trying a wider line here, cutting in, trying to get a good exit, and I was finding some good pace in doing that, like alternative line, if you like. Then through these S's, I was quicker. I tried around the outside, and you can see I wash out wide there. You get this sort of dusty stuff that the mowers kick up out offline, and you just have zero grip. So here we are, still trying alternate lines. This was a real battle of it was a mental battle as well as a physical one. This race is long, and the bumps really sap all of the energy out of you. There's not many opportunities to try different things around here. So following our greeters through the final corner, he knew to hang it down the inside, and he makes a slight mistake, catches that bump just a little bit wrong, and I thought I'd be able to get up the inside, but it wasn't quite working. So I knew if I was going to make a move, it was going to have to be in this twisty back section. You can see I am closing in on him here. I'm quicker through this section, but it's harder to make a move. So I try and go around the outside and try and stay on the throttle, but he does cover it off. I can't go through him, so I have to go round him, and that's the long way round. It's not going to work. But there was an additional factor here. Here we were about to get lapped. So there's Pete flies by on the yellow mower, and then Stu on the blue mower, and I didn't want to ruin their race. He actually gets caught behind our greeters here, so we're stretching the gap out there for them. So our greeters is going to have to let him by, and I was just thinking, if Stu's going to make a hole, if he's going to go by, I'm going to try and follow him through here. So I was doing everything I could to catch them up. But actually here our greeters manages to pull away from me a little bit. You can see I run a little bit wide on the exit there. So now I have a couple of laps where I've got to really close in. I probably lost about a second there in all, and over the 3 laps I managed to reel that in. I knew I had a couple of tenths in hand here because I was managing to try different lines and stay on the back of Algridas. So here we come through here, and he does make a slight mistake, running a little bit wide. I gain a bit more time, and this was kind of that section of the race where I knew it was the middle and I was getting really tired, and so I was having to conserve a little bit. You could see the gap is a little bit bigger than it was before, and so I thought if I can ride this thing at 80%, then towards the end of the race I can make a move. And that was kind of my only opportunity here, was to save some energy and catch him when he's tired after I've conserved a bit. And you could see you can read a lot from body language here about how hard someone is pushing. And you can see there's a slight mistake on the exit there. Those are the kind of things you do when you're tired. Obviously, the steering weight on these things are really heavy, and you're using your arms to stay on the damn thing. You're not strapped in at all. You're floating on that seat, and then your legs are pushing down against the cutter deck to try and hold yourself in. It's not like a kart where you're sat in it. You are on one of these things. It's a bit of a mix between karting and motocross. You're really hanging on to it. So here, Algridas makes a mistake, and I do manage to look up the inside, but you can see that straight line speed. It does really hurt me there, so I try and get on the outside. That's where the grip was under braking, cut across and get a good exit, and so I do manage to stay with him. And you can see there's lines that are starting to go a little bit wrong. He's going wide just ever so slightly, just a foot here and there. So I was looking for my opportunity. If there's just a 6-inch, 12-inch mistake where he goes slightly off the track, I can dive it up the inside, and that was what I was looking for here. I'd have 2 strong moves from Algridas in this race, so I knew if there was going to be a move, I didn't mind it being a strong one. It kind of goes both ways there. So we're still battling through this field, starting to fatigue a little bit, but I am closing in quickly here, and I do have a look up the inside there, and Algridas goes a little bit wide, but again down the straight I suffer. So I knew that was where I was strongest and he was weakest. It was a long corner there, and they're often harder to really cling on and be precise. And so through here I was focusing on getting a good run through the S's. You can see I've got a great run down here. I run a little bit wide, which loses me a bit, and then I have a look around the outside. I'm trying different lines through this final corner to try and get a good run out, and that was my only way to stay with Algridas down the straights. Now at this point in the race, I didn't know how long we had left. I don't have a lap count or anything like that, but I knew we were getting towards the end of the race. So here was when I was really going to push. All that energy I've conserved, I was trying to use here. I get a good run through the S's. I actually bump him up the rear through here, and then I can see he makes a slight mistake there. Goes 6 inches, a foot wide, and I slam it up the inside and manage to take the place that I've been fighting so hard for. That I cover it off down the inside because I knew he was stronger down the straights. I didn't want to get dive bombed into turn 1. Now I was super proud of that move. He made a slight mistake, just a little bit more than he'd been doing all race. He'd been doing great covering off, but just a slight mistake, and I was absolutely going to take it. So good run out of the final corner. I knew that Algridas was strong on the straights, and that the main opportunity he would have would be down at the bottom here. We have got back markers now. You can see the blue flag there. Pete and Stu come through. Stu's caught him right up, but he's having a great race as well, nose to tail. And so I'm following these guys through, trying to learn from their lines as well. The things you've got to think about during one of these races. Now, I don't manage to get a great exit out of this corner. Look, I catch the bump a little bit weird, not a great exit, and I decide that Algridas isn't close enough to defend, and I come out wide, cut in, and you can see he slams a move down the inside. Isn't quite enough alongside there, but that was a bit of a warning. Like, you do need to cover off the inside to avoid losing a place there. But that was it. We were out of laps. One of the greatest races I've ever had. It was only for third. It wasn't for the win, but I was super happy with that after a race-long battle, taking third position, and you can see that there. What a race. Subscribe for more of these.